Africa Business News, proudly sponsored by EY.
Up on Africa Business News. Uganda's GDP expands by 13% after rebasing. Elections technology propels Namibia forward. And Nigeria bars fully built international ships from its waters. Stay tuned.
Africa, it is huge, it is diverse, and its business landscape fascinating and dynamic. And that's our business here on your favorite weekly African business stop. We're joined by Boni Tunywa in Nairobi, Esther Ubodaga in Lagos, and we will hear from Christine Mundwa in Johannesburg as well. My name is Victor Homoeswana, and this is the Africa Business News. Mambo Boni, as always, there are many interesting developments in the region. The World Bank pledging $1.2 billion to improve the regional infrastructure. Uganda and Kenya traders ending their standoff. The Lamu Power Project in the balance as one of the bidders accuses the committee of bending the rules. But the still bigger news item to me is the deadline that Kenya has set for itself, this time to meet the digital migration June 2015 cutoff by the ITU. Tell us about that.
Well, Victor, this has been long coming. We've had this for over a year now. Earlier on, the government had set their deadline last year, just about 12 months ago. We had a series of court cases and battles going on, and finally the Supreme Court in Nairobi decided that 30th of December will indeed be the final date where Kenya finally gets to migrate. However, Victor, there's a twist that just came in earlier this week where 3 leading media houses want to be given at least 4 more months to put in place the necessary infrastructure for digital migration. And these 3 are the Nation Media Group, the Royal Media Services, and the Standard Group. And they have maintained at a meeting with the Communications Authority of Kenya that the December 30th deadline set by the Cabinet Secretary last week was untenable and asked for more time to migrate to a digital platform. And one of their spokesperson, Linus Kaikai, who's one of the managing directors in the Nation Media Group, read mischief in the cabinet directive insisting that they actually migrate by 30th of December. So, Victor, seems like we're back to the same old game of shifting goalposts.
Well, the 3 major ones that you mentioned will not be able to move if they are not ready. But a few weeks ago, he spoke of Tanzania as being among the fastest growing economies in the region, and its stock market delivering some handsome returns. It looks as if Uganda is not to be outdone. What's behind this double-digit growth talked about in Uganda?
Victor, you must have had the joke that rebasing is now fashion in Africa and most economies in Africa. But Uganda's gross domestic product has expanded by 13% after changing the base year of its GDP calculations to from 2009 to 2002. Now the country's GDP per capita now stands at just about $700 million. Now Uganda follows the footsteps of other sub-African countries like Nigeria and Kenya, which have rebased the economies in recent past. But Victor, what you must note is that what is changing in Uganda is the inclusion of other sectors like ICT, like transport, that were initially not included in the first calculation. So really, rebasing is in vogue in Africa.
And finally, Boni, that struggling Telkom Kenya's buyout bid flopped. What happened and what is the way forward on this one?
It is a sad story for Telkom Kenya. They had a bidder, Vertel, that developed cold feet in the last minute. But Victor, this is not the end of the story, because Telkom seems to be a very attractive item for most of the investors. We saw the likes of investors from as far as Malawi showing interest.
Thank you, Boni Tunywa, coming to us from Nairobi in Kenya. We're joined by Christine Mundwa in Southern Africa next. Stay tuned. We're still on Africa Business News, and I'm with Christine Mundwa. South African power utility Eskom once again in the news, this time not only for power outages, but for what auditors call reportable irregularities over its support for a business breakfast series in the week that South Africa will see the petrol price drop by 69 cents. Zambia expects, on the other hand, to commission 2 gold refineries in the new year and will start exporting the precious metal soon. And the Seychelles boasts now 4G technology. But it is Namibia, I guess, which has got Christine's attention with Africa's first in election technology. SWAPO sweeping the boards at the election. Christine, tell us about this technology they used in this year's election.
So it's called e-voting, and it's Indian software that Namibia is making use of. It comes with a price tag of about $240,000 US. But interestingly enough, we saw to the build-up of the election at the 11th hour, if you will, opposition parties got a little bit nervous and thought this might actually aid vote rigging because of a lack of paper trail. But we know that the Windhoek High Court threw that case out, and Namibia continues to lead on that front.
They had already used it in some other election. I think it was the local government election. But in Zimbabwe, they need power to work because their mining is such a great potential and already got a lot of business going on. But unless they get the electricity in the right proportions and right level of efficiency, they are not going to make it. What's going on there?
Well, certainly, and I mean, you will know that Zimbabwe is about 800 megawatts in undersupply, essentially. So ZESA, the power utility there, one of its subsidiaries, PowerTel, has committed to a project where they're going to be rolling out fiber optic cables to the value of about $32 billion. Now, this goes concurrently because as you roll pile cables, you roll, of course, this fiber optic cable as well. So you're improving the power situation at the same time you are creating that opportunity for connectivity.
Okay, let's hope they get the meters going, the prepaid meters as well. Next up, Esther Ubodaga takes us through some of the highlights of the week from the West African region. Next, we check into West Africa, where there's surely some interest in the story coming out of the U.S. At GlaxoSmithKline subsidiary has partnered with the U.S. National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. They have reportedly made significant progress in the development of an intramuscular vaccine for Ebola. But Esther, it is hard to read any business news out of Nigeria without a financial services story. This time is the GT Bank Guarantee Trust, named the best bank in Africa's largest economy. But of more interest to me was the headline about the UBA, another bank, in partnership with Airtel to advance mobile phone banking across Africa. Is this likely to be bigger than the M-Pesa story coming out of East Africa?
Well, it could be. It's a partnership of two giants. Now, UBA has partnered with Airtel to provide mobile-based financial services across Africa through what it calls Airtel Money. Now, it basically enables subscribers carry out financial transactions directly from their mobile phones. Now, there will also be other services like international money transfer and mobile banking. So definitely good news for consumers.
And Nigeria's federal government will soon be barring fully built vessels from its waters. What's going on there?
Well, you're absolutely right, Victor. From the 1st of January 2015, maritime vessels purchased overseas without input from local shipbuilders in Nigeria will no longer be allowed to operate in the country. Now, according to the Nigeria Content Development Monitoring Board, in a statement, the directive was it said that the directive was necessary in order to develop local capacity in line with the local content initiative of the government. Now, according to the body, a number of Nigerian companies have developed the capacity to manufacture high-quality vessels that meet international standards. So the body stressed that companies seeking to buy maritime vessels that will work in the Nigerian territory must submit the Nigerian content plan of the purchase in order for the authorities to determine which part of the vessels would be manufactured in Nigeria. So I think it's good news, at least for the local content of the country.
Esther, Victor mentioned that an Ebola vaccine could be in the offing. What's the update on that?
Well, clinical trials are still ongoing and the WHO is keeping its fingers crossed on a breakthrough soon. But so far, nearly 7,000 people have died from the worst outbreak on record. Now, according to the WHO, the toll of 6,928 dead showed a leap of just over 1,200 since the WHO released its previous report. That was just last Wednesday. Now, so far, also, about 16,000 people have been diagnosed with the Ebola virus since the outbreak was confirmed in the forests of southeastern Guinea early March this year. Also, according to the WHO, the data covered the three hardest hit countries as Guinea, Sierra Leone and Liberia. They've all accounted for all but 15 of the deaths in the outbreak, which has touched about 5 other countries.
It's also great, Esther, to see that the Senate has passed the cybercrime bill in the same week that OPEC appointed a Nigerian minister as its president. But over in neighboring Ghana, where another Nigerian bank, Zenith, is the best bank, my interest is piqued by an oil and gas story involving not only the usual suspect in London-listed Tullow Oil, because this is more of a gas story, but an Italian corporation, ENI, in a $6 billion deal, proving that the hydrocarbon business in Ghana is now big game. Fill us in on this one.
Well, you're right, Victor. ENI has signed a $6 billion production agreement with Ghana. Now, the oil company will focus on Ghana's offshore Cape 3-point block, which is expected to begin operations in 2017. Now, the deal is a great opportunity for Ghana to speed up momentum in its oil and gas sector, which has been experiencing slow growth. But specifically, it will deliver up to 170 million cubic feet of gas per day for the next 20 years. And this could help Ghana become energy sufficient. So definitely good news for the West African country.
And that takes us to our trivia of the week. But before that, we also get to hear about the favorite stocks of Esther and Bonnie. Stay with Africa Business News. Time to go, Bonnie and Esther. I've got $10,000 in my pocket. I want to invest in your region. Which stock do you recommend I should buy and why? Let's start with you, Esther.
Well, I'll go with the banking sector, specifically Stanbic IBTC. Now, the bank, it's a tier 2 bank, but it has shown consistent growth in its top and bottom line in the last quarters. It's also employing very good and effective cost-cutting strategies, which is very important if you're operating in a business environment here in Nigeria. So definitely, I'm going with the banks.
With the banks, how about you, Bonnie, in Nairobi?
Well, Victor, Safaricom Limited anytime. Safaricom last week reached a record 14 shillings a share, just coming from a shilling just about, what, 5 months ago. Safaricom has also been the biggest, the most profitable corporate in East Africa, rolling out LTE technology, has been shrugging off competitors. So really, this is a stock that you want to put your money on, also because of the prudent leadership that we've seen. So really, anytime Safaricom.
Hey, I think Airtel is catching up soon on them. We will see about that in 12 months' time. This week, coming to our trivia, Chad celebrated Freedom and Democracy Day. World AIDS Day also took the center stage. And on Friday, Ghana celebrate what they call Farmers' Day. But our trivia of this week is about what could have opened the eyes of the world to corporate machinations and led to the revision of reporting standards that are still continuing, including what accountants call the IFRS. Which company, I ask you, Bonnie and Esther, on December 2nd, filed for Chapter 11 protection 2 days after its European operations had filed for bankruptcy?
Okay, I think I'll take this one. It's Enron, Victor.
Enron, it has to be synonymous with what we are talking about. We commonly remember 2001 for another disaster which changed the world for good. September 11 attacks on the World Trade Center. But before that, in February 2001, Chief Accounting Officer Rick Cossey had boasted to his budget managers that from an accounting standpoint, he said, this will be our easiest year ever. We've got 2001 in the bag, he said. Was this the proverbial pride that comes before a fall? By March 5th of the same year, questions were being asked about Enron's share price, which was trading at a 55 multiple. The rest, they say, is history, and Enron has become synonymous with the corporate scandals. And that is an issue in Africa as the growth narrative continues to keep the community of investors spellbound. Let us hope to make the news for reasons other than our own Enron. We'll be back with you next week with more Africa Business News. We thank Bonnie Tunya in Nairobi, Esther Ubodaga in Lagos, and earlier on Christine Mundo here in Johannesburg. Stay tuned to CNBC Africa until next week. Au revoir.